And he was a realtor here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 6. I'll call this meeting to order and we'll start with the pledge, please.
Just to the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I got a chair issue here. Could we start with roll call, please?
Mayor Smith?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Schwartz? Here. Trustee Valentine?
Here.
Trustee Stelter?
Here.
Trustee Check?
Here.
Trustee Hunter? Here. Trustee Heck?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Our next item of business is approval of the agenda, but I had a modification we need to make. Unless somebody else has something that would like, someone else has something they would like to bring up before I do.
No appreciations tonight.
Oh, no, appreciate, okay, thank you. Item number 4 on the agenda was kind of a placeholder in hopes of getting enough bids, as I understand it. And is this has nothing to do with the bathroom?
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's bad.
No, this is
This is,
a red band park.
okay, so different electrical. So at this point, you haven't had enough bids, so we are not going to discuss it tonight, and we will just continue this when you have the proper amount of information. Is that right? Okay. So we would like to remove item number 4 from the agenda, please. Somebody would make a motion to that effect.
I move to approve the agenda with the exception of appreciations in item number 4.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, that passes. All right, and so the announcements that we continue to have is that we are still accepting applications on the tree board for a citizen. They meet every third Tuesday of the month at 5:15 in here. It is agendized and it is recorded. And it serves as an advisory board for the Board of Trustees and the town administrator regarding management of trees within the town of Paonia. So if you have any inclination for loving trees, please put an application, a letter of interest into the town clerk by April 2nd at 12:30. And we're still seeking a new member to fill a seat on the Zoning Board of Adjustments. Zoning Board of Adjustments only meets when there is a public hearing scheduled in front of them, which does not happen very often. Applications and the letter of interest are due to the town clerk by April 2nd as well at 12:30. Neither of these boards require that you live in town. So if someone from out of town that's hearing this is interested in either board, please consider submitting a letter of interest. Okay, now we will move on to the public.
We do have one more announcement.
Oh, we do, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Public Works would like to congratulate George Redden, tell him how proud we are of him. He gained his Class C water treatment certification. So he only has one more before he can be the ORC for the town.
Wow. Great, then on that note, any more? Sorry, okay. For public comment, this is the time during the agenda that we allow people to speak for 3 minutes on any topic that is not on the agenda. So what we ask is that you raise your hand and be recognized by me. Come on up to the podium, state your name and whether you live in town or out of town. And there is a sign-up sheet on the podium. If you would put your full name and address on that sheet, that would be great. So like I said, you get 3 minutes. And we have a 3-minute timer here. When the yellow light goes on, you have 45 more seconds. And then when the red light goes on, that's your 3 minutes. And it's not a back and forth, no responses from the staff or the board. During the public comment, it's just your opportunity to come up and be heard. So with that, I saw the first hand. Yes, ma'am, come on up.
Hi, Deborah Spiegel. I live in town. As one of the citizens who spearheaded the referendum to repeal the SDR ordinance, I want to underline that our campaign message, yes, let's fix it, vote yes on 2B, is a solution-based message. Our experience of the 2B campaign has shown what Paonia can do through thoughtful community-based input. It's brought out the best in us, neighbors coming together to share ideas, concerns, and creative solutions. The energy, care, and collaboration we're witnessing proves how strong Paonia can be when we work together. We're excited to share the solutions, ideas, and suggestions that we've received from the community and are hopeful that you, as a board, will take the ideas into consideration as you move forward. Let's work together to find a fair and thoughtful path.
Thank you. Thank you. Who else? Please go ahead.
I'm Marcia Personic, and I was out of town, and I'm a realtor. I'm here as a realtor today to represent my clients who are directly affected by the issues addressed in resolution number 10-2025. I appreciate the chance to speak with you today as an advocate for property owners facing challenges with standby water taps and the current requirements for proof of payment for these existing taps. First, I want to acknowledge that the difficult situation our town is in. There's no doubt that the past record keeping for standby water taps has been less than ideal. The lack of historical data has made it incredibly challenging for you to verify payments and ownership, leading to complications that impact property owners like my clients. This situation, unfortunately, has created a climate of uncertainty and frustration for those trying to resolve the matter. I also want to express my gratitude to Deputy Treasurer Kaja Bowman for her exceptional investigative work on behalf of the property owners at 104 Doris Allen. Thanks to her efforts, the proof of payment for their water and sewer tap that had been repaid for in February 2024 was uncovered, and they will be receiving their $11,000 refund. This is a positive step forward, and I strongly urge that the same level of thorough investigation be extended to all property owners with standby taps. Additionally, I would like to bring to your attention a particularly perplexing scenario. There are instances where properties have changed hands multiple times, up to 4 deed transfers, and I brought 4 deeds for the same property here in town. I've been involved in the transaction on this property, where on these deeds they say together with without warranty, 1 Town of Paonia water tap and 1 Town of Paonia sewer tap. So there's really no way the current owner would have a documentation to show that that this tap had been paid for. I think that puts an onerous responsibility on the current owner, because again, they bought a piece of land that came with a water tap and a sewer tap, and they paid for it. I believe these steps are essential to restore confidence in our town, to establish a way to look at the deeds. By addressing these issues head on, we can create a more reliable and equitable system for everyone involved. Thank you for your time and consideration. I look forward to seeing how this is handled for our clients in the future. Thank you.
Who else in the audience?
I talk too much, so I might leave. My name is Liz Hyders, and I'm with Needle Rock Realty. I live out of town, but I do own a building in town. I have decided to speak today to make sure the hardworking town staff and the elected board, Mayor Smith, and the officers for the town of Paonia know that I'm here to support them and to help open up communication to better assist the town moving forward. While the past is important, and clearly we know there is some controversy and confusion with the existing rules on the books, and even more so with the expected changes in the future, it's not time to give up, it's time to lean in. I will start by saying my hope is to resolve issues with thoughtful counsel and the review of these problems we all face together. Perhaps work sessions and committees that can meet in a non-confrontational way with citizens, business owners, the staff, to then present a solid set of solutions for our town board moving forward. But it needs to be in a timely fashion. I want to take a moment to explain the current process for transferring the water tap and sewer tap in the municipalities in the Delta County area. Most out-of-town water companies that a tap is transferred in have a water stock certificate. Towns do not have this method. The title company offices and their officers that are licensed closers call or email the towns. They then check on ownership as it relates to the subject property and any transfer fees and outstanding bills. Then the costs are reflected on the settlement sheet and prorated, and the title company sends the new address and name of the new owner and the contact information for the new owner with a check from the title company for that final bill and any fees associated with the transfer of the tap. After that, the new owners begin to receive bills and thus ownership is transferred. It is not necessary for taps, water, or sewer to be noted on the warranty deed because water is not actually warranted on the deeds. So you are not always going to see them reflected on the warranty deeds. Aaron Clay, a reputable attorney in our area, advised us against that years ago. I've gone against his advice because I like to see it in writing, but you're not always going to see it. The municipality records are in fact the only method of transfer of ownership. If the records are flawed, this is not the neglect of the public that the town serves, but in fact the responsibility of the town. To ask people to go back and produce a receipt that they may be second, third, or fourth generations is not always realistic. I myself am willing to help with problem solving. I'm going to skip forward, and I'm simply going to say that the rules on the books that have not been enforced is another gray area, could lead to unnecessary expenditure of staff time, lawsuits, arguments, unrest. I think that we just need to find a way to move forward. I have taken it upon myself. I'm just going to go off script. I've called all the title companies in all the municipalities. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
To back up what I'm saying.
And I just said,
No.
We sign up here, is that right?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Marcia, I'm putting your name down.
thank you.
Anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Seeing none? Oh, hang on one second. I saw an arm. Oh, no, that was Deborah, right? Is that your arm moving? Sorry. Is there anybody on Zoom?
Nobody on Zoom?
Okay, all right. So if there's no more in the audience, I'm going to ask that we have one more person to come up and speak. Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you, Mary. Okay. Hey. What's up, guys?
I love
Thank you
that
for having me
body
here.
language.
Good evening. I am Ruben Santiago from Forest Avenue in town. I come before you tonight, not at my official capacity as deputy clerk, but as homeowner and resident of Paonia. As a member of the community, I feel giving back, contributing to assist others is vital and a key element in what defines a community. I have seen it many times over and over. When a call goes out for help, I personally volunteer my own time, assisting seniors wherever I can. But tonight I come here to speak to you, and with a joint effort from Hector Manjarado, who's also another in-town resident, to invite you and anyone interested to join us for the Tremors movie night. Get ready for a night of thrills, laughs, and underground terror. Join us for a special screening of Tremors, the 1990 cult classic that will have you on the edge of your seat. Brought to you and paid for by myself and Hector. This is not a town-sponsored event in any capacity. This is on Friday next week, on the 4th. Doors open at 6:30, movie starts at 7 at the Paradise Theater, and the admittance is a donation event. You can give monetary money to the theater, any dollar amount will do, or any non-perishable food for the little pantry we have here at back. The plot pretty much is, if you haven't heard of it, is the Kerman Bell McKean, starring Kevin Bacon and Nurse and Mr. Barrett, Fred Ward, are tired of the dull lives in a small desert town of perfection about But just as the two are about to skip town, they happen upon a series of mysterious deaths and a concerned seismologist studying the underground readings. With the help of an essential couple, Reba McIntyre and Michael Groves, the group fights for survival against giant worm-like monsters hungry for human flesh. Come prepared for suspense, giant underground creatures, and a whole lot of fun. Bring your friends, bring your family, and just make sure to stay off the ground. The movie is rated PG-13. Again, that's Friday next week on the 4th, 7 o'clock, Paradise Theater. We hope to see you there.
Oh, great. Thanks, Ruben.
Sure.
Does that answer what the loud moves are? Is it's just a marketing?
I love that movie.
Thanks for sharing all that. And any other comments on anything not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we will. Oh, yes, oh, sorry, come on up.
Sorry.
So you have 3 minutes. Just tell us your name and if you live in or out of town, and then sign the sign up sheet. Okay. You missed my introduction, so I want to make sure you have it.
Hi, I'm Patty Keach. I live in town. And I'm concerned about what you passed regarding the water taps. And my main concern is that the onus is being placed on the property owner to show proof of water tap purchase, because there's been so many sales and some people have passed away. How are we going to rectify those issues? And thank goodness Marcia brought me up to speed last time you guys met. And it turned out one of my clients did purchase the property with the water and the sewer tap. And when they came here to apply for a building permit, they made us pay for a sewer and a water tap all over again. And since then, she helped figure out that there was an issue, and that sure enough, the people 2 owners ago had paid for the water and sewer tap. So now they're due $11,000 back because of it. So I just foresee issues happening, and it shouldn't be on the onus of the property owner, onus on the property owner to show proof when they are not even the ones who purchased it. And also the title company calls in town to say, are there outstanding fees, yada, yada. And I think Liz gave a letter to that effect from the title company. That's all I have to say about that. Thanks.
Positive.
Yes, I know, very dramatic.
You had 1 second, so we did a good job. All right, going once. Any more comments from the audience? Okay. With that, we will go on to the consent agenda, which consists of the March 11 regular meeting minutes, the bird harvest license renewal, and disbursements. So with that, I'd ask any of the trustees if you have any questions on the consent agenda. Okay, I saw trustee Hunter's hand first.
My comment is on the meeting minutes from March 11th. I would just like to have added under item 5 that there were 4 community members that spoke in favor during public comment. And that was Randall Gillette, Marsha Brzonek, Joe Holbit, and Dave Knudsen.
I'm questioning whether all 4 were in favor.
They were.
So we're not Brzonek.
Go back and watch it. I mean, yeah,
That's my only, that's not, my memory is not that all 4 were in favor. That's.
I'll go.
Do you remember?
Okay.
I wasn't listening, I'm sorry.
Could we go back, could staff please go back and review the public comment for item number 5, because I think that should be addressed in the minutes.
And there is no, I'm looking at the minutes again. There is no comment. There's no entries about any public comment, and it seems like we often do
There is the.
on 5.
Not on that one.
Right,
You're right, on
that's-
the other items.
Right, and it seems like we typically have a first, an initial, last name, and then a comment is made in a very, vague fashion, and that isn't up 5, and you're right, we did have 4 comments. I just would not concur that they were all in favor.
Right, not
of-
in, right,
That's
maybe
all.
not in favor of the resolution, but.
Right, but 4 people definitely spoke. Yes, so trustee Schwartz?
Sure, this is a question for Town Clerk Vetter. I'm just a little bit confused on the liquor license renewal for Burke Harvest. What, can you just tell me what's happening? I get that there was a violation, but you're going for one and gonna turn back the
Yeah.
other.
So during the process of, so they currently have a beer and wine license, that's what they've always had. And so this year they decided to get rid of that license, which they have to do, and apply for a hotel and restaurant license, which will allow them to serve beer, wine, and spirits. And so during that process, they had a violation in the last year, and so they have to cure that. And so the way they have to do that is their license has to be active, and this happened after it was let go. So that it can, I do believe it's gonna be suspended for like 3 days. They have to do that, and that has to be cured before the state will allow them to get rid of the license and then go for it and get the new hotel and restaurant license.
Gotcha.
So it turned into a new experience for all of us.
Any other comments on the consent agenda?
If I'm not, are you wanting to remove the minutes from March 11th or do you want to approve them tonight as it is?
I would like to remove them and.
Okay, just, because that would have to be part of the motion, right?
If there are no other comments on this, the consent agenda, trustee Hunter, would you like to make that motion?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda with the removal of the March 11th regular meeting minutes.
All in favor? Oh, sorry.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. Thank you. So we are to the department scorecard.
Okay, I've got a couple of updates. I did ask one of our audience members to stay because I do have an update on water taps as well that I wanted to share with you. It didn't make it into this departmental scorecard because we'd already published the packet before the work was being done. But it will go into our next departmental scorecard. Or did you already update it? You just, okay. She's great. So sometimes I have to, she's always ahead of me. Good news, we got the $1 million, right? So the tier 2 EIEF grant that I went and presented for a couple of weeks ago, the mayor presented for, we received the full $1 million, which we were told we would not get the full amount. And what would we do if we didn't get the full amount? We got the full amount. So it's excellent news. Now this is going to play into what you'll see in a little bit when we talk about the loan, because I'm going to have some questions that, in addition to bond counsel, that you guys will need to kind of give me direction. But we got it. Huge. So between phase 1, now we have $1,956,000 in grants to go towards our $9.7 million in projects. So, and then if you add the $3 million in 100% principal loan forgiveness, we've got half of our project paid for in grants. It's excellent, right? We could have got $20 million after that. But so here we are. What I wanted to let everybody know about was kind of where we are so far with water taps. And this is based on the work that Kaja's done. We have confirmed that 10 are completely paid for. They are done. We've got all of the documentation that we need. And they've been mailed a letter to that effect. So they've been paid in full. She did uncover that, we did make somebody pay for one because we didn't have documentation, and they're getting a refund. Is it the full 11,000?
So far.
Okay.
6,000, that is prompting looking for the sewer, those are always done at the same time, so.
So there are some give and takes on this. We have 2 that we have no documentation on, but Kaja's actively working with them to get at least some dates so we can go back to physical records and start looking.
Are you trying to show us something?
I am not. These are my personal notes.
Oh, gotcha.
Because then I also have stuff about where to find things in the loan documents as well. We have several more that we have documentation of payments, and that we're sending letters to by the end of next week. And so we can say, Kaja didn't like what I would say roughly half. A third are like we have documentation for. So that's good on that list. And I want to reiterate, being on that list is a really good thing. It means that you have a lawfully serviced unit, which is important for this water board. So that being on the list is good. That means that we know that you've been paying a water standby fee. And when you do want to exercise your right, we can get you there. And then the balance of them, Kaja is still in the process. Kaja, and I think you got Morgan on it too. Yeah, Kaja and Morgan are in the process of researching and contacting property owners. So those letters are going out. We have also, based on a meeting with Liz, started a process that was started in 2014 and then kind of stopped. And that's when a title company does call us, they send an email and then they get a form from us that says, this is what we've got. And so there's still that written documentation. Again, it was started in 2014, it kind of went away, and now we're bringing it back because, well, putting it in writing matters, especially for something like this. So that's the update I wanted you to hear, that we are actively working on it. We've got excellent staff that are helping me, so. Are there any questions on our departmental scorecard? It keeps getting updated. If you have any, please let me know. But this is something that I think we owe a couple of months to put on the website still, unless you've been doing everything. So I think we owe a couple of months to add to the website for this year. But you can at least track what we're doing. And we did get some feedback from the GFOA, that Government Finance Officers Association, that in our tracking, we really need to drill down into what goal for our strategic plan that each one of these is working towards. So that's something that we'll do. So.
Do you have other good news about grants we've gotten?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. It's coming in a couple weeks. Yeah. But it is, we made it on, so okay, I can say that. We have made it out of the Transportation Commission, so it's CDOT's Transportation Commission for Fifth and Grand, and gone to their STAC committee for our Safe Routes to School grant in the amount of $872,250. So that project will have about $1.9 million in funding through various state grants, but we've moved on to STAC. Once STAC says, okay, to get this far, it means like we're gonna get it. But we haven't gotten it yet, and so it has to go to STAC, back to the Transportation Commission for final approval. We'll know mid-April, but it's really good news because it's another almost $900,000. So it's a lot of money rolling into town. Yes, it's coming, and then we'll do another press release.
Thanks. Did anyone have any questions on the scorecard? Okay. So we'll move on to actions and presentations. And our first one, item number 1, is consideration of change order number 5 from Earthworks. Who would like to speak to this change order?
Sure. You guys want to, or?
Yeah, I can. So that one, we had to make adjustments to pad height, just to the tank levels were big, too far difference. We open one valve, whatever's in the tank is going to try to override the second one. So we had to make some adjustments, and the road that goes from the old design to the new design, it was just to reestablish that onto that upper pad. And I will put a report together too that has pictures and that, so it makes more sense to people that haven't been up there.
So along with my first quarter town administrator's report next month, you'll also get one on this update for this project for all the site work that's been done. We have to have this access road. It's part of CPW's road for this nature wildlife easement. Yeah. So we have to put it back in. And then also, or is this the one that goes to the tank itself?
So this was for the tank itself.
So there's a couple of roads. But that's what this is for, $4,000.
The easement road was part of the original bid scope, so there won't be any change order.
So we're at 5 change orders. Total amount of change orders with this one is $36,620.13. This change order is for $4,000. In the grand scheme of things, when we're talking change orders for a construction project, this isn't that egregious. It's just there's 5 of them. So.
Any questions from trustees? Any questions from the audience? Nobody online? Seeing none. Would someone like to make a motion if there's no questions?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the change order number 5, earthworks excavation in an amount of $4,000.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, that motion passes, thank you. So now moving on to item number 2, consideration of resolution 12-2025, amending fiscal year 2024 budget. We'll pass this on to.
Good news, we don't need an amendment. So what was presented at our last meeting for a budget to actual for the end of the year looked like we needed an amendment. I hadn't had a chance to review that before the meeting. After reviewing that budget to actual, we hadn't made transfers that we had planned to take out of our surplus fund balance. So some people call those reserves, but they're not the statutory reserves. And I made a change in my packet that's on the screen that's different from what was posted to make to that effect. So we had planned to take out through transfers under that 1039.99 line item down there. We had planned to take out $386,826 from our surplus fund balance. We're only taking out $55,595.21. And now we show a net surplus of funds, which is, we had planned for this. What made up that transfer revenue line item that for that $55,595.21? $21,815.60 are coming. Oh, I downloaded the packet and didn't make the change. Are coming from surplus fund balance, not reserves, surplus fund balance, up to where we can take up to 25,000. We're only going to take 21,815.60. And that's for our code rewrite, the sustainable futures. And then we were also planning to transfer out of that surplus fund balance $28,000 to go towards Phoenix Rising Resources for the comp plan. That transfer was never made. Once that transfer is done, we are not at a deficit. There's no budget amendment needed, and we're actually going to be putting money back into our fund balance. That's a good thing to have, even though our revenues were less than anticipated. Now, in our water utility is another one that we'll have. We have a similar situation. So in this, we're looking at 60/36/31 capital contributions. We had planned to take out $352,500 from surplus fund balance for various construction projects that we hadn't done. But we did, for our hydrogeology study, had planned to take out of our fund balance $77,500. Once that transfer is made, we will be sitting with a net income of $41,476.11. So we're putting money back into that fund balance at the end of the day. No budget amendments are needed. Sorry for all the anxiety, and I kept thinking there is no way I made it. I planned for it, so we were okay. So.
Yes, Trustee Schwartz.
So it seems like it's going to be a good thing when we finish the code rewrite and the master plan, we'll get reimbursed for those expenses, and those should ideally show up in 2025.
We have been getting some reimbursements. I am stuck at, I can't remember the amount still that I cannot take for Phoenix Rising Resources because we don't have an adopted comprehensive plan yet. Once it's been passed, I think it's a little under 10,000 that we'll get reimbursed for. And then Sustainable Futures, it's about half that grant award will come right back to us. So yeah, and we'll look at 25. So there's still more revenue coming.
Any other questions? Questions from the audience? Okay, seeing none. We don't need to do anything, do we?
You do not.
Okay.
Sorry for any confusion or anxiety.
Well, I appreciate the explanation. I'm always confused about reserves and surplus. So it is surplus, which means it's unencumbered. And maybe next time you do budget to actual, you could tell us kind of what the town has. Okay, bad choice of words. You
Yeah,
call it
because-
surplus and leave it at that.
Yeah, because if it really was encumbered for a specific project.
It could be.
We have very healthy unencumbered fund balances.
Okay, well, that's what, maybe next time you do budget to actual, maybe let us know how much that is at the time.
I can try my best.
Really?
Because we haven't finished our fiscal year 24 audit yet.
Oh, okay,
That's gonna be my start.
all right, tell us the good news as soon as that's.
Okay.
Because I think it's really nice to know we have a nice buffer. So item number 3, consideration of resolution 13-2025, accepting the loan from the, I will not even try, CWRPD. Yep.
Okay, I jumped the gun on this, thought we needed a resolution done stat really quick. We're not there yet. First thing I need is to be able to choose bond counsel, and that's what I'm asking tonight, is if you'll allow me to do, find bond counsel, that's what's in the staff report. And then, one of the other things that came up is we have to answer the authority. So CWRPDA is the Colorado Water Resource Power Development Authority. We call them the authority, right? And we need to make a decision. Since we did get the $1 million EIAF grant, do we still go for the full amount that we have been approved for up to that, full amount, or do we reduce it by $1 million? And so there's a few options that I kind of need direction on as well. We could take the full amount as we applied for it and use it towards future projects that relate to water capital improvement plan, our water capital improvement plan, and continue to pay interest on it like we had planned to do, like we have done our utility rate increases to plan for that. Or we could take a lesser amount, but enough to cover potentially higher than expected bids. I mean, we kind of saw that come in with our site work. And if the funding is not used, we prepay according to section 308 of the loan agreement. We just received the draft loan agreement this morning. So I was able to pull it up for you so that I can pull it up so you can see what I'm talking about with section 3.08. I know I got to share a new screen. We can prepay the loan, but you still have to pay a certain amount of administrative costs associated with that loan. And in some cases, I think it's interest for up to another year based on that. The problem that I'm concerned with is that we get bids that come in higher than we ever could have thought, even though we made that amount based on like a percentage increase, and then we're stuck with not being able to fully fund all of our projects. So that's kind of it's kind of heavy, but I need to have direction to give it to the authorities so they can finalize these documents and we can get a bond counsel on board. So any questions? Yeah.
So we're looking at borrowing with 3 million forgiveness to a total of 9.7 million?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so your thought is, do we go for 8.7 million?
Do we reduce that to 8.7, or do we keep it the same, or do we say we're going for 8.75, right? Some lesser amount. What do we do?
How much contingency was built into the 10 million total for the 3 subparts of phase 1?
I'm so afraid to give out all these numbers
Okay.
because we have, public bids come in. But it was a number between 10 and 30%.
Okay, and I kind of know where this lands sometimes. Okay, so it's a kind of a risky thing.
It is. It's the good news is that we've already prepped as if we weren't going to get anything, including the $3 million principal loan forgiveness, and we got it right. We got that and $1 million for a grant. So what do we do? Do we make sure that we have a little cushion, or do we take that reduced amount? What do we do? I feel like it was a decision that I can't just make. So.
Questions or thoughts? Yes.
It looks like, according to the figures, that the risk is about $7,000 in interest. And I don't think that's a big risk for $1 million. I think that we probably should go for it.
Okay, Trustee Schwartz.
Can, trustee Stelter, can you tell me how you got to that?
Well, when you look at the numbers on the
Page.
payment on page 49,
Thank you.
and for $3 million, the calculated interest is 22.5. And a third of that's about 7 and change.
But is that?
And you're looking at the next page.
Oh, I thought I had it shared, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the payment calculator is what you're looking at, Trustee Schwartz. So that's 3 million. We're looking at the repayment of the 3 million. 1.5%, 20 years, right?
Right, and so, I know, it's all weird. We've got 3 different things going on with this loan. We've got, a loan that is, I can't remember the name of it, but there's one loan for $3 million. Or I'm sorry, one loan that's for $6 million and something with $3 million in principal loan forgiveness. That's why you start with 11/1/2025 at $3 million, because it's already removed that 3. Then there's another loan for another $3 million that isn't part of this state bond that goes out. So it's a very structured financing process.
And it's in the paragraph on page 48. As it
There
broken
it is.
down
There it is.
into the subparts.
Yes, town administrator, what did you, like, based on the contract, what was the repayment terms? Because I'm inclined to just take the additional $1 million as a buffer. And then if we have to, if we can, great, let's just give that right back.
We will still have some prepayment
Yeah.
like they're not penalties, but they're prepayment fees. Yeah, so you will still have to repay some interest. And this is all subject to the authority saying we can even do a prepayment. And then it is principal plus the interest to accrue on such amount of the next succeeding optional redemption of the authority bonds allocable to such loan repayment to be prepaid, including any administrative fees. So whoever is managing this bond for us, we would also have to pay those fees. But if we decided to do that full amount, it might mean that phase 2, we don't need as much to take in a loan. So, there's so many options. My biggest concern is that we go out to bid, we get some astronomical prices, and we've got to do these water projects.
And anybody want to jump? Any other questions? So it would be permissible to use this money for another.
We're still using it for our water.
Yes, so it still come under that big umbrella. Okay. Any comments from the audience?
Yeah, if I could borrow.
Come on up.
I'm sorry.
Come on up to the podium.
I'm just gonna say that, as a person that is, pro the town of Ceonia, I think it's very reasonable and forward-thinking for this board, council, and staff to consider borrowing the full amount. The correction of our water system here in Peonia, your water system, will open up opportunities for more housing and affordable housing in projects and in areas. We've been approached multiple times with the school building listing by people that want to bring affordable housing to Peonia, and I see this as a path forward. And so if I could borrow money at that rate of interest, I would. Congratulations to the town and the staff. Congratulations. Thanks. You bet.
To clarify, that interest rate is 1.5%.
I know, amazing. Sorry. Sorry. It's free money. Just, no, it's not, but that's amazing. That's amazing.
Further discussion?
I mean, I share the same concern as Administrator Nguyen, that I think it's likely that bids will come in high. And I think it makes sense to.
Do you need a motion to that effect?
Um,
As part of this item number 5?
Yep, so there's two pieces to this. I also need to be able to find bond counsel, to be able to write a letter from our bond counsel. You know, that's an attorney. That's an attorney that specializes in bonds. It can't be Clay because he's our general counsel in this. And they're saying we need an attorney that specializes in bonds. Which we are not going for, the state is going for a bond with a package of projects.
And you already have some names of attorneys to reach out to. And it's a one-time payment.
I have no idea. Before any finalized contract, you'll see it. I just need to be working on this before our next meeting.
So you need a 2-prong motion or 2 separate motions?
Just one. Oh, she's saying 2 separate. Yes.
He's got. Okay. Who would like to take stab at the first half of the motions? Trustee Hunter?
I move to instruct staff to go for the total loan amount of $744,000 for the CWRPDA DWRF loan.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes. And then part B.
That one I actually gave.
Oh, is that what they're-
motion? Motion.
I move to approve the town administrator to select the bond counsel to provide an opinion with the assistance of the town attorney and the town clerk.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Right, that motion passes. Thank you. Thank you for all the information too.
Okay,
It's
thank
really
you.
helpful. So we're skipping item number 4 and moving on to item number 5, consideration of RFP 2025-03, selecting an ADA transition plan consultant, which was the bulk of this packet. A lot of content.
Okay. We had an impressive amount of proposals submitted to us. They were all very good firms, but we scored, we being myself, our public works director, and our town clerk, scored these independently based on a scoring sheet that we all had. Corey's didn't make it in the packet because he got them dirty. We'll have them for the full, for our actual records. We had 2 that were very, very close. One of them only does Colorado municipalities throughout the state, MHAC. I actually attended a training with them at some of our conferences. I was really happy to see that they had decided to put in a proposal for this. Their average score was 98.33. Rick was another engineering firm that had submitted. Theirs was incredible. They did send somebody to town who walked, and I think their bid was about $50,000 more than MHAC. Might be a very accurate reflection because they actually came and saw the state of our facilities. That's crosswalks, that's ADA ramps, that's our playgrounds. And their score was 1 point difference, only because of their price at 97.33. But we are asking that you go with our lowest, most responsive and responsible bidder, which is MHAC.
Questions or comments? Need a moment to, go ahead, Trustee Schwartz. Okay.
Well, one, I was really blown away, just like you said, like just the thoroughness of this. And I was also kind of shocked by the prices. I am curious, like I appreciate it that we were asking for references and what MHHC sent us. I would be curious if we talked to them, like to Edgewater, for example, that's what I'm looking at, to say, how many change orders? Or were they really set on their price? Because if they came back and Edgewater said, oh, well, we actually got 50 or 100,000 in change orders, that would change my opinion a little bit. But I thought that what they were offering for the price seemed really reasonable for our size of town.
I have not called references yet. So if there is a motion and you wanted to add that to it, depending upon responses from references, well, for that too.
Trustee Stelter, you had a thought?
Yep, I went through those when we got them on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. There's quite a bit of material there.
Yep.
And it's quite detailed. I had a spreadsheet that I finally made so I could keep it all straight. The ranking that I had actually was pretty much the same. There's one that's reversed. And the top three actually were what I had chosen or would have chosen on my research on the proposals. So I'm very pleased with what has come out. I'm very pleased that we're going to get this done because at one time I spent a year in a wheelchair and wheelchair access, and I've been on crutches, I don't know how many times. And it really is tough when you cannot function in the public areas. And some of our sidewalks are, I don't know if atrocious is even bad enough. So we're gonna get this done, and I want it done as soon as possible. It's one of the nice things.
We were supposed to have a transition plan in place in 1991.
Any other?
I was blown away by the price.
Still elementary school.
Any other trustee thoughts, comments? No, ask if the public, either online or in the room, have any comments to make? Okay, seeing none. I don't know if you're ready for a motion or a little bit more discussion? Yes.
I would like to make a motion that will involve a reference checks. I move to direct staff to conduct reference checks on MHAC. I'm gonna fumble through this, with the purpose of investigating change orders associated with the project. And step it help me out here.
Okay. So I would also ask that you would add to begin negotiating a contract,
Okay,
and that being the contingency is reference checks that show no change orders or low change, something like that.
okay. I move to direct staff to conduct reference checks on MHAC with the purpose of, and assuming limited change orders, direct the town administrator to begin negotiating a contract for consideration at the April 8th board meeting.
I'll second. Good with that? Everybody? Okay. All in favor?
Stephanie, do you need something if you come back and it's like outrageous, then do you need direction if on that, or would you just bring that back to the board at the April 8th meeting?
Keeping things moving along, I mean, maybe you go with a second choice too,
This separate motion?
or we meet 2 weeks later. So it's really your decision.
And with the second choice would, well, I guess what would the words pleasure be on the second choice? And then,
Probably the same similar motion.
Contingency.
but you need to pick a,
Contractor.
but you need to choose a contractor for that.
If we're
Second,
gonna go down that road, I do have a question.
sure.
On one of the scoring sheets for Rick, it was noted that not fully aligned with both question 1 and 2 on the addendum, but question 1 wasn't clearly addressed. Is there anybody on staff that could speak to that?
Oh, that was his notes.
Yeah,
It's
that
Corey's
was
notes.
mine. That one's just clearly addressed questions 1 and 2, but wasn't necessarily 100% clear to me further. Question 1 was. I went through it pretty thoroughly. I started on a couple of them while I was still at work, trying to drive around. We had another area to go down, and so I was kind of bouncing back and forth between things for a bit. And when we got back to the house, I realized that ones didn't get the same attention as the ones that I was doing at the house. I went back through them. That's kind of how, another reason why my papers got all messy. Figured that out better than not submitting anything, so.
Thank you. And if I can just interject, question 1 was, is the town interested in consultant inventory non-public areas? That was the one question. And are there other town-owned buildings and public? What else did they need to consider? And question 2 had a very extensive list of town facilities. So it's those 2 you felt like they didn't specifically address.
Yeah, not as much as it was just
And we're talking questions from the addendum.
I had a question. Do we need to worry about Lee's Park?
Did I have it in the addendum?
I don't think it's listed.
Well, that's one of them that missed it, but yep, we need to worry about Lee's Park.
Okay.
It's ours.
Christie, how did you answer? Did you get your question answered? Yep. Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
All right.
I'll make a motion, in the event that that staff determines that MHAC references, that MHAC is not a good fit based on references, to direct staff to move forward with reference checks for RICK and to begin negotiation of contract for consideration at the April 4th meeting.
I'll second. I think it's at what you would do. All right, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 6, consideration of RFQ 2025-02 water attorney, selecting which respondents to interview.
Okay. So these attorneys that gave responses are incredible. They have a lot of litigation experience in water court, as well as a lot of senior water rights experience as well. We didn't score them because ultimately this is somebody that would report to you, similar to what Clay does, but this is specific to water. I envision a process similar, because that's what was in the RFP, that you'll select some for interviews. I couldn't find anything wrong with any of the 4 that sent proposals. And my recommendation would be that you interview all 4 of them. They're excellent. I think 2 were Glenwood, and then the other 2 were Front Range. All very capable firms.
That's a lot of material to go through.
I know, I'm sorry.
I have one comment, which was, as I was going through, only one of them actually made a reference to our consecutive systems, which is a very rare thing. None of them have really dealt with a consecutive system. Not that that doesn't mean anything. It's just, I think they're going to find this very interesting.
Yeah. There are a couple that actually represent consecutive systems, but not that they represent a major distributor, with consecutive systems.
And the other one, B&G, actually represents Lone Cabot, a ditch company. And that is the ditch company that partially we've agreed to allow the sewer plant to be used as a wildlife habitat credit. I don't think that part has happened yet, but just there is a bit of an overlap with the town of Paonia with Lone Cabot ditch with B&G. Again, Nothing that's disqualifying, just an interesting local input. Yes.
As I was reading these, I don't really want to go through 4 interviews, but I also thought it's our way to really dive into, like, I got started to be like, are these mostly just representing irrigation and ditch companies or domestic? But I think we just have to interview them. And if we have really tight questions that dive into specifically what we need, I think we'll be able to find a person or a firm.
It's really important to note, none of these are just individuals, they are full firms. So.
My opinion, at $300 to $380 an hour for the primary attorney, we really do need to make sure comfortable, in my opinion.
And I did direct solicit our last water attorney and then even sent, hey, are you sure you don't want to? And I've received nothing back from her. I think she's finally retired.
Okay. I had my favorite until I saw his price tag. Anyway, I like that. Moonbacher, it was right over the middle. Well, he's actually a graduate of the University of Iowa. But anyway, I saw his price tag, so I'm staying neutral.
They're all expensive,
Yeah.
but yeah. So, any other comments from trustees before I ask for audience input? Okay, anybody in the room or on Zoom with a comment on our process to move forward with the water attorney? Okay, seeing none. I did notice that when you sent out the RFQ, you did give the dates for potential interview. So can we look at those dates again?
Sure.
And I'm assuming we would do these interviews in public like we did with our town attorney.
We did an executive session for it. Nope. Okay, we would very much.
Well, you can tell us. He did it in public. Yeah.
So March 31st through April 1st, or April 4th would be potential interviews, which is next week.
So,
Next date is the 14th.
so at this point, we haven't, I'm just, before you all make a motion of how many you want to interview or whatever, that we see, do we have reasonable availability that first and second week in April? Okay, we may not have everybody involved then, if other people just, for timing.
We will record interviews.
Yeah, that's right, they were recorded, so nothing personal, just if we can get the most in person. So how's it looking for people?
Could we do like 4 on?
Seems like that's what we did with our, didn't we meet later in the afternoon, evening with our attorneys?
We did.
Yeah. And you had a
Oh, I
question.
was just wondering if we want to narrow it down and just do the 2 that we can choose from their resumes, interview those 2. Just to lighten the interview load.
That is clearly your discretion. I thought they're all excellent firms. I'm going to put it all out for you.
My comment would, I'd like to interview all 1.
Me too, I have to say, because it's a really important thing and a lot of money being spent. So that's just my opinion. I can't vote, but unless I have to speak.
Yeah.
Are people comfortable with some evenings that first and second week in April?
I think it's just the first week of April.
Right, but I know we had some, trustee Seltzer couldn't, but is everybody else still okay first week in April?
I think I'm in Peru.
Seriously?
Second week of April, maybe it was the second week of May. Screw that.
Oh my gosh, yes,
Just to let you guys know, at 4 o'clock on the 2nd of April, the community room has been rented for somebody's annual meeting, so.
Okay. What time? At 4?
At 4, yeah.
Okay.
Could part of the motion be to instruct staff to send out a doodle poll with dates for the first and second week of April, for basically starting at 4 on, assuming each interview is gonna take an hour?
Yeah.
I think that's easier than just deciding this in public.
And that's fine. I do want you to know that the key date down there that says April 8th or April 22nd. So we've kind of built ourselves some wiggle room as far as getting a contract around. So we could do it over 2 weeks if that's what your discretion is. And I'm sure these firms would find some way to accommodate us.
Okay, good.
Can I make a motion?
Go for it.
Okay, I make a motion that the Board of Trustees interview all 4 firms to be our water attorney and to have staff move forward with scheduling those interviews.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Me too.
What's that?
I'm gonna go to Peru.
I know, right, okay. Item number 7, consideration of approval of the selection of the responses for the town hall cleaning services.
So, we put out an RFP for.
You know what, hang on 1 second, yeah, would you just come up, please? Yeah. We need to make sure we have you on Zoom, you can sit here. I don't just sit, you don't have to feel like you have to be at the podium.
Yes, we put out an RFP for town hall cleaning services, after realized our service as of last year, we didn't have a contract in place. So we want to go through that process. To touch on it real quick, our prior cleaner did not respond to us. So these are all new considerations. This one's set up a little bit oddly, in that there's only certain responses included, and I'll explain why. But we had similarly 3 staff members, Ruben, the deputy treasurer, Joanne Katzer, who's I always get the term, but she in PD, I think it's a tech, they call her. And then myself scoring those. We did get 3 responses. We have only included the one we're recommending. There's some considerations, and we had to disqualify one, so we didn't, and we have for our requirements, so we don't want that in there, make that difficult for any business that we disqualified. So we didn't get any completed RFPs. They didn't answer all of the questions that we put out. And we did a informational meeting, got some questions, put out an addendum. And yet none of them were complete. So we put out a request to the 3 that we did receive for additional clarification. And only one of those responded with additional clarification. So we are recommending them. They are a little bit more expensive than the second by $90 a month or $1,080 in the year. So the top 2 most expensive. But the other one wasn't complete, and we were unable to verify any of their references. We called, phones were disconnected and things, so that made us rather uncomfortable as well. And then the 3rd was disqualified, unfortunately, for being able to meet some of our requirements. This is a lot more expensive than our prior cleaning services, which were at $775 a month or $9,300 a year. But this also includes a lot more service. Prior, we had 1 clean a week, and that was it. This would include a more extensive clean once a week and a lighter clean midweek to do like bathrooms. We've been noticing that those have been troublesome midweek and need extra attention. And then also additionally, twice a year doing carpets and windows, and once a year doing the ceiling and cleaning the tile floors. So it's a lot more comprehensive than what we were paying for before, which is also why it's a lot more expensive. So our recommendation was Colorado Complete Clean. All 3 of us had scored them the highest, even though they did come out a little more expensive. And the RFP did, or in the addendum, mentioned it was a 3-year contract with an option to renew for 2 more. So that's what we're recommending off of what we posted.
What we were receiving before was about 45 minutes. Was it a week, if that?
Once a week.
Yeah, once a week, 45 minutes. It didn't cover anything. You know, I was changing urinal pads myself. Ruben had to do it a few times as well. It wasn't okay. And then this also covers resealing the tile out there. So if you look, it's really beat up. It's because there's no wax on it. It hasn't been sealed. And so that's part of what this proposal is.
And I forgot to mention, we also are requiring rather extensive insurance bonding and background and CGIS compliance for PDs and documents that we retain to, which hadn't been required in any contract prior that I'm come across yet. So that's the additional piece.
Any questions for Kaja? Mr. Short?
I just have a question. I don't even know where Bennett, Colorado is, but do they have a crew that travels around or what?
Yeah, so
we,
the way it was worded in RFP is that they've made clear they know where we are located, that we didn't ask specific who would be cleaning until we were in the process of a contract. There are certain things that would disqualify them if they don't meet that CGIS, if they can't provide information on who would be cleaning for background. So we didn't actually get a response on who would be servicing, where they're located. That would be part of the process of negotiating a contract with them. And then I did also forget to mention, we did call their references and they were rather glowing. For 2 of them, there was a gal on the phone who was very happy. And the third was also good. They just no longer use them for budget reasons. But
Other questions?
So their office in it?
yes, that's their main course. And the references were scattered a little, I redacted because of the packet, but they were, they weren't all located there. They were spread out a little across the state. So I think that they do service a much wider area with different groups.
That's pretty far east.
Yeah.
It's very-
Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot to.
I looked at their website, which looked quite professional, you know. Yeah.
Sounds like they might be hiring somebody on West Slope if they got the contract.
Yeah, it wasn't specified if they already have, or that would be an addition. Was it?
But
And there's a lot of things required in the RFP. If you guys make a choice that then we would have to follow up on that would be contingent on. Some of that being, we would require names and addresses of staff that would be working for background checks and all of that. So that would be, I think, fleshed out a little bit more in the rest of that process before anything was ever signed. And there are conditions that if they don't meet those requirements, they still wouldn't get the contract.
Would we have to start over?
My recommendation at that point would be, I'm not sure if Joanne and Ruben would feel the same, but considering we'd be down to 1 who we couldn't verify contracts and we didn't have a complete RFP, I personally would recommend that. I'm not sure if Ruben or Joanne, what our recommendation is.
Yes.
Which I did want to mention, Ruben and Joanne were quite helpful. Ruben put a lovely floor plan of the town hall because we didn't have one, and did a lot of last minute scrambling to make sure we got all that info.
Any other questions, comments? Anybody in the room or on Zoom?
A name.
Yeah, come on up and just give us your name and if you live in town or out of town, and then if you'll write your address on the form that's on the podium.
Name's Ethel Short, and I recently moved here. Can you include a probationary period?
If
I live in town.
we don't usually answer during this, but go ahead and ask anything else you need and we'll.
Maybe what I would do is just suggest that you include a probationary period of 3 months. And if they seem to be working out, then hire them on work permits.
Put everything in a contract.
Discussion point, if anybody wants to talk about
That's
that.
a good idea.
Yeah,
And I feel like in all contracts, there'll be language about termination, if it's not mutually beneficial, which would give us an out should they not perform to our duties, but I really like that idea of like, yeah, we have an out, we're not locked in for 3 years if it's not a good fit for us. There is some language in the RFP and then, yeah, make sure that we have some, and then we could definitely include probationary if that's what you guys want to try.
anybody ready
I am.
for a motion? Go ahead, trustee Salter.
I move to offer to get the staff to negotiate a contract with Colorado Complete Clean for town hall cleaning services.
I'll second.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Might have it.
any further discussion? Ready for a vote? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I kind of like being back here.
So our next topic, number 8, is consideration for applying for a grant for the Rural and Tribal Assistance Program, which offer grants for engineering and design work on highways and roads and bridges, and we're looking at it for Samuel Wade Bridge. And Administrator Wynn?
Yeah, we have work that needs to be done in Samuel Wade. Oh, excuse me, on the bridge, especially with pedestrian safety. And we can't just mill or overlay anymore on that bridge. Because we were told if we try to do another lift of asphalt, we would most likely have weight restrictions. It's our truck route, and we can't have weight restrictions on that bridge if we want to continue to receive deliveries into town. So we need to do some engineering, and it's probably going to be a full depth down to the decking reconstruction of the bridge. So we are applying. Bridge work is always very, very expensive. If you can always get the county to take the bridges from you, that's what we want to do. Unfortunately, we did it the opposite. We took the bridge from the county, which is okay. And now we've got to figure out how to pay for design work. So we do have some restricted funds that we have invested that are specific to bridge work, but we're trying to supplement those funds with a grant. Does that answer it?
Any idea how much you might want to try for?
Oh, gosh, Corey, you know, millions.
Initially should be less than 100,000.
Oh, for engineering and design, yeah.
I don't know.
I had just a comment to make, and that was as I was, zooming through all the paperwork. It opens April 17th. No, closes April 17th. I think it opens end of March, and boy, the sooner you get in, the better, because they just start giving out money, and if you snooze, you lose. Is this one that Mary will be working on?
100%.
And she's, okay.
And so the good news is that there has been an amendment for the SNOFO, that's that notice of funding opportunity. Dated after executive orders went into place freezing funding. So that's a really good sign that this one's funded. And so it does work for a benefit to get something in sooner than later.
Any discussion, questions? Okay, seeing none, how about in the audience or on Zoom? Oh, okay. Made it ready for a motion? We don't have one built in, but.
I move to direct staff to move forward with applying for the grant from the Rural and Tribal Assistance Program for engineering and design work on the Samuel Lake Bridge.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We are getting a lot done. All right, next item is item number 9. Consideration of approval to renew the Axon body worn camera and video storage contract for 5 years ending in May 2030.
And has provided show and tell as well, so.
Okay. And you know what, Matt, if you wouldn't mind, could you come up here? And I was told by someone that they have a hard time hearing you. So if you don't mind, because your presentation would be good for the for Zoom and listeners. Oh, that's it. Oh, it's pretty heavy. Thank you.
Okay, so what we're looking at is renewing this body worn camera contract that we have with Axon. That's the company we use right now for body worn cameras. Colorado Senate Bill SB 2217 requires all law enforcement to issue these to their officers. There are other companies who also do body worn cameras. The reason we're with Axon is we're pretty well embedded in that ecosystem. This body worn camera from Axon is the same company that we use our tasers. That's who manufactures those for us. And so, for example, when a taser is deployed, it automatically activates our camera. The officers don't have to turn that on, it comes on. All of our body camera footage is stored on their secure portal, evidence.com. That's what we use for all of our digital storage, which is cloud-based and secure. That makes it much easier for us to share videos within the department. You have to grant access to another officer before he can look at it. We can use them for training, back and forth. It also makes it much easier for us to compile any camera footage we may have for the case and send that down to the district attorney as well. We already have that program in place. That's what we've been using. Our previous contract started in 2020, it expired this year. This next contract will run for 5. Part of the reason, at least was explained to me from Axon, they typically like to do a 5-year program is because what they're doing is modeling future storage. And so we're buying unlimited storage from them, but it gives them an idea of what they need to build out as far as cloud-based storage. You can imagine when officers are on scene, these cameras are running pretty much constantly. So the video footage piles up very fast. And we have to go in there and sort through them, but you'll see I put the costs on there. We're set up to pay this each year. This would be our total. We'd be paying it out of contract services. The caveat to contract services, although this is a contract, what we haven't really been doing in the past, but what we were doing was the cameras itself are equipment. So those may be coded under actual equipment we would use as the police department as opposed to using the cameras as part of the contract. But with the contract, we get new cameras every 2 years, depending on the release and what we have. And that's pretty valuable as well, given what the cameras go through being worn every 2 years.
Questions for Chief Lamacher? Anybody have any? No? Anybody from the audience or on Zoom? And looks like our administrator has his hand up.
I do have one thing to add. There was an outstanding invoice from 2023 that hadn't been paid, and it became apparent after this this contract renewal that it has to be paid. So this line item that we're pulling from is it's going to get hammered hard. I don't think it's going to result in a budget amendment because we'll have enough in general fund. But I do want you to know that that one, after this contract, which we need, gets redone or renewed, we're gonna have that line over budget, yeah, but not the general fund. And part of the reason we didn't include this is because in speaking with Axon, we didn't want to include a previous balance in a new contract. We want to make sure that's a fresh start moving forward. You will see it disbursements like next time. So, and we have multiple. With Axon also, the other part of this is that we have the TASER program separate as far as billing goes from body worn cameras. So that's why you'll see Axon invoices, but they're for different programs.
Thanks for that. That'll be good for us to look at. Okay. No questions or comments? Ready? Yes, Trustee Seltzer.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the renewal of the Axon body worn camera and video storage contract for 5 years ending in May of 2030.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you. And Item number 10, last but not least, is to appointment of a trustee liaison to the tree board. And this is coming about because of trustee Valentine being, out of town and joining by Zoom. I think it would be, and he agreed that it would be good to have someone here in town to serve as a liaison and join the meeting. So,
Yeah, I communicated with Sam and Paige that would be a good idea. The role isn't really a specialized role. It's really about directing any actions the board wants to take through the board for approval. So the tree board, I probably mixed up my boards there. The tree board doesn't have direct contact with staff or doesn't take action on its own. So the liaison is just a way for those actions to be presented to the board. So not that involved.
Thanks for the explanation.
Not a scary job.
Yeah. Other than it is now an agendized meeting and time, and it is recorded at 5:15 on the third Tuesday of the month here. And I spoke to Trustee Heck to ask if he'd be interested, and he said he was. So, and I've learned he has a lot more tree experience than I ever knew.
I was actually gonna do the tree board before I did this, and somebody said, no, you go for the rank.
Yes. Oh,
I just, full disclosure. So since the tree board has actually become agendized and stuff, it's got a lot going on. So this liaison job is important. I mean, it's still the once a month, but I mean, they've got a lot of projects they've been working on for a long time. They're trying to bring forth now. They're having some interaction with staff about them too. So that's one of the other reasons why this came about too, that they need a closer liaison, and John's over there having fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess too, now that they're agendized, what would be good is to have the trustee liaison just be ready to tell us as part of an agenda, what kind of activities are going on with the tree board, right? We'd like, and what things we may need to know about or vote on. So unless someone else is clamoring to be on the tree board, it's a trust, what's that? Forgive. So it is a trustee decision who the trustee liaison is. So it'll have to be a board motion.
I just have a question for trustee. Is this just an interim until you return? Or is this a permanent switch?
I'm just filling in until he comes back.
Okay, so an interim.
Well, and I guess the trustees could decide that too,
Yeah.
when he gets
I
back.
mean, I'll apply when I.
Yeah, and if trustee Valentine still wants to come back, that would be a trustee decision. I would say at this point to not necessarily say he's interim, just that,
Nominated for the tree board.
yeah, and then.
Sure.
And then,
I'll probably get kicked off before you guys get to it.
yeah. Anyway, that just seems cleaner.
Okay.
If trustee Valentine has no problem with that.
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you. Good question.
I move that we nominate trustee Heck for the tree board.
I can't second that.
I'll second. Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Trustee Heck is on the tree board, and unless there's any business, anything else, I adjourn this meeting. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.